You're gonna break into. On you.
Talkin' Boxing with BillyC. It began as a podcast, went live on the net, and transformed into a full-blown empire. Across the web, on Fight Now TV, and on radio stations around the world. It's the only daily boxing talk radio show on the planet, hosted by the only guy with the balls to do it. Many have stepped into the ring. Many have tried to take the belt. And one by one, they've fallen. Another victim of the undisputed heavyweight champion of boxing talk radio. Talkin' Boxing with BillyC is on now.
My style is impetuous, my defense is impregnable, and I'm just ferocious. I want your heart.
Hey, we're coming to you live from the BillyC studio in Lake George, New York. I'm Bill Calogero. It's time for Talking Boxing with BillyC. Good morning, good day, good evening. Whenever you listen, hope you're doing all right. Special shout out to all my WMML listeners. Glad you could join us here. Got a busy show scheduled for you. But first, I got to tell you who the show's being brought to you in part by. All right. We got a little curve for you today. This show's being brought to you in part by Cat's Nationwide Luxury Transportation Service. If you're looking for a limousine and you happen to want a really hot driver driving you around, well, then you need to call Cat's Nationwide Luxury Transportation Service, 202-351-7496. That's Cat's Nationwide Luxury Transportation Service anywhere in the United States or Canada. Give my girl Cat a call, 202-351-7496. Tell her BillyC sent you, but just remember she's my girl. Also, the show's being brought to you in part by Campanaro and Tomkovich. If you're looking for a lawyer, use the ones that keep my ass out of trouble. That is Campanaro and Tomkovich. Give them a call, 845-221-4099. That's 845-221-4099. Let Campanaro and Tomkovich knock out your legal problem. 845-221-4099. The show is also being brought to you in part by the Halftime Bar and Grill, Route 9, South Glens Falls. Check them out if you like good people, good food, drink specials, and live entertainment all the time. That's right. Call ahead, 518-792-4869. Always got some drink specials. Live entertainment Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday night. Sunday and Mondays, you got the girls bouncing around in bikinis playing beach volleyball. That's right. The Beach Volleyball League is at the halftime. Call ahead, 518-792-4869. And, oh, by the way, if you like the hot sauce, tell them, if you like wings, try the BillyC hot sauce. That's right. Yeah, but you got to have Craig make it. 518-792-4869. The show is also being brought to you in part by the Whitehall Athletic Club. If you're looking for a quality club, look no further than the Whitehall Athletic Club. Check them out, www.whitehallathleticlub.com. And don't forget, every membership gets access to all the live entertainment, including our big World Championship title bout, scheduled for August 24th at the Whitehall Athletic Club. Check it out, www.whitehallathleticlub.com, or call 518-832-3663. That's 518-832-3663. And the show is also being brought to you by Ringside, the best in boxing. Check them out, ringside.com, for all your boxing equipment needs. We got a busy show scheduled for today. Coming up in a little bit, my main man, Alex Pierpaoli, he's going to be presenting this week's Blast from the Past, which ironically is Carlos Monzon, former great middleweight champion. And we got the middleweight topic. You know, it's been going on. Dave Murphy got the ball rolling, and we want you to send us your all-time great top 10 middleweights. Who are they, man? Who do you think? You know, this whole discussion got started with because he mentioned Bernard Hopkins in his all-time great top 10. Now, I'm not disputing the fact that B-Hop's going to get into the Hall of Fame. And when you look at all-time great middleweights, in my opinion, he's not in my top 10. He's in my top 25, but not my top 10. You know, so it kind of prompted some stuff. So let me know what you think. Drop me an email, Billy@TalkinBoxing. That's TalkinBoxing.com. As usual, I got to give a shout out to my girl Kaylee. She's in the chat room, right? She's become my most loyal listener. You know, she's special. She's special to me. So Kaylee's up, or maybe she never even went to bed. I don't know. But at least she's sober. At least she's sober this morning, I think. But as we usually do, we like to read the emails from the email bag. No, damn it, I messed up again. The emails from the mailbag. Yeah. That's it. This one came from my man George. He says, I was listening and watching the Brewer fight and thought you guys did a great job. I thought you two had great chemistry, and you would never notice that you never worked a fight together before. Now, that's my man George, and he's referring to the savior of the show, the guy who stepped in and basically off the bench hit a grand slam home run, and that, of course, is Cesar Hernandez, and he did the fight with me. He did the color commentating, and he did do a great job. And you know what? I very rarely listen to my shows. I never go back and watch them or anything. And you know, a lot of people had called and said it was amazing. You know, watching the bite and listening to us, plus knowing what was going on behind the scenes there in Atlanta. And that, you know, I don't know. I was drawn to watch it, and I wanted to see the bite again myself. So I went to BillyCBoxing.com and clicked the link to rewatch the fight, which you can do. And by the way, it's going to be up under the Wednesday Night Fight banner. So when you see that on the right-hand side, it says Wednesday Night Fights. You can click that, and we're going to have that fight up there for a while. So if you don't get a chance to do it today, just make sure you watch it, because it's the only place you can see it. The Grady Brewer against Jorbis Barthélemy fight. But nonetheless, you'll also hear the commentating being done by yours truly and my man Cesar Hernandez. So and Cesar did a great one today. So anyway, what do you mean? Is anyone I got Kaylee asking me a question in there. You know, is anyone talking on the show? What do you mean? Is that no, we're just sitting here. We're just sitting here doing, you know, nothing. You know, we're not talking. Come on, man. We better be talking. People better be hearing us. You know, but anyway, look like Canelo Alvarez just popped in. She's saying, "No, you dummy," like a guest. No, we got my man Alex Pierpaoli coming on. He's going to be talking about the Blast from the Past. He's going to be coming on in a bit. As a matter of fact, he'll be on in a few minutes. But anyway, let me continue here. Now that she's got me all discombobulated. EQX says, now this is in response, once again, to the steroid testing and everything that I got smacked around a bit yesterday. And everybody was easy on me today. No, I didn't get any follow-up crucified emails. Better stay away from that. But anyway, before the fighters are tested, this is from EQX, it says, before the fighters are tested, they are sat down and thoroughly explained to about the procedure. You see it on 24/7 with Floyd and Cotto. EQX, let me just tell you one thing. I don't watch 24/7. No, I'm not pulling a Joe Santoliquito or nothing like that, but I don't watch 24/7. Speaking of Joe Santoliquito, he's scheduled to come on the show a little bit later as well. I don't watch it because I can't stand watching Floyd Mayweather outside of the boxing ring, and he ruined it for me. Ever since then, you see, I think HBO now Joe Santoliquito, as a matter of fact, last week. Speaking of Joe Santoliquito was saying how much he loves Jim Lampley and how Jim Lampley does a fantastic job and how much he loves his show and all of this stuff. I think it's garbage. Jim Lampley's show is garbage. And the reason why it's garbage is because Jim Lampley has ran his course. It's done. Jim Lampley doesn't do anything that's, in my opinion, listen, he's not giving you his honest. Unless he's been molded so much that he's honestly giving you his opinion, then I'm totally wrong. I'm off base. But in my opinion, he's just talking about what's good for HBO. I mean, let's be real. His discussion about boxing. Like this is a big breakthrough to talk about boxing. Hey, let's talk about boxing. We'll do a show once a week. Once a week? I laugh at that. We do it every day. Talk about, but we've been doing this for 9 years. And Jim Lampley, because he's got money behind him and because he's got HBO banner and all of that, they come on, they do a show for 6 months, and people like Joe Santoliquito are saying how great it is. Give me a friggin' break. And by the way, I talk about stuff whether I agree with it or not. I read all your emails whether you agree with me or not. When you bash me, I read it on the air. I don't care. That's because I'm honest. What's Lampley talking about? All HBO fighters? All his guys he's supposed to talk about? Can he even call a fight anymore? Without CompuBox, which is BS? Oh, man, I could see I'm going down the wrong road. I shouldn't have even had that thought pop in my mind. But that's why I don't watch 24/7. It's bias. Just like Lampley is bias for everybody towards HBO, all the fighters with HBO. That's Jim Lampley. He's a company man. Hey, more power to him. He makes more money than I'll ever make. So whatever. I guess that's what matters, right? But you know what? They sit them down and they explain it to him. Yeah, okay, great, EQX. That's great. But the bottom line, my whole point, which I guess you've missed and a lot of other people missed, was that, and I've been saying this point about the steroid use for a long time, and guess what? I ranted so much. I gotta hold that. You gotta hold that thought. I'll be right back.
If you're in upstate New York and you need a trucking company, then you need Rosselli Enterprises. Rosselli Enterprises is trucking at its finest. They have it all: dump trucks, dump trailers, walk-in floors, flatbeds, flow boys, tankers, loaders, and a full line of roll-off containers for any job, big or small. Rosselli Enterprises is also the source for all your sand, gravel, and topsoil needs. Visit them on the web at RosselliTrucking.com or call 315-433-5115. That's 315-433-5115 and tell them Billy C sent you.
Are you ready, America? Then let's get it on with Fight Now TV. It's time, fight fans. Your channel has arrived. All the fights, all the names, all the action. From world-class boxing events to mixed martial arts showdowns and other combat sports matchups, Fight Now TV delivers the hits and more. Call your television provider and tell them you want to get it on with Fight Now TV. For more details, go to fightnow.com.
We've got a great matchup tonight. Fighting out of the left corner is the #1 ranked contender.
No, he is not.
I'm sorry, but who are you?
I am the IDO computer. I am programmed to provide only fair and unbiased boxing rankings. This fighter is the #15 ranked contender.
Fair and unbiased boxing rankings? That's a new concept.
Actually, it is not. The IDO has provided unbiased computerized rankings for many years.
Well, we've still got a great fight tonight, folks. In the left corner is the #15 ranked contender.
The IBO, the champion of integrity. Learn more at iboboxing.com.
Check out BillyCBoxing.com now, or feel the wrath of the mighty mustache.
Oh, that hurts.
Why are you doing that to my face? I hate you. I hate you.
That's BillyCBoxing.com. Consider this your warning.
As a young boy, all Billy C dreamed about was one day having his own catchphrase.
And we're back. And we're back.
One boy, one dream, one day, everyone will say.
And we're back. 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 And we're back.
Catchphrase coming soon to a theater near you.
And we're back. You're listening to the Talking Boxing with BillyC show. I'm going to shout out to the WMML listeners. Glad you could join us. We love the listeners on WML. You know, don't forget about the Talk in New York Sports with Billy C and Brooklyn Mike on WMML Sundays from 9 to 11 a.m. Check it out. This week we're going to be talking about the AFC. We're going to be breaking down the AFC, all of the teams in the AFC as we approach the NFL season. And in case you missed the other shows on WMML, you can check them out on BillyCBoxing.com. That's www.BillyCBoxing.com. Or you can go to YouTube/BillyCBoxing and watch them. So, Kaylee's repeating my MO here, and we're back. Yeah, I got to thank Jeremy for that. You know, he made that. But before I went to break, I was off on a tangent. Thank God we had the 2 minutes for me to stop with my Jim Lampley thing. But you know, the whole thing about the steroid, my point, and I've been saying this for quite a while, is simple. And you know, the bottom line is that I just felt that. The bottom line is this. I don't want steroids introduced in any sport, especially boxing. I don't want it. You know, I want fighters to fight on an even playing field. My point was that I felt that it was a rush to judgment. I felt that all of a sudden, you know, and Floyd, where it was Floyd Mayweather, where it was a positive, where he wanted to expose the steroid abuse or use, however you want to look at it. I should have said that in the opposite order, but and I know Alex is in the chat room. He's got me all nervous because he corrects everything I say because it makes sure it's pronounced the right way. But so let me rephrase it for Alex. The use or abuse of steroids in the sport of boxing. I think that Floyd did the right thing. Now, in hindsight, at first I was critical. If you go back and listen to the shows, you'll be like, Billy C., what are you talking about, man? You were like, who the hell does Floyd think he is? He's not Nevada. He's not this. Yes. I said all of that. But, in hindsight now, and to see what's been uncovered and all that happy stuff, I'm glad that Floyd started this. But like anything, you have to. It's like a new drug that they, ironically enough, a parallel. It's like a new drug that gets introduced. Somebody invents a new drug, it cures this, cures that, fixes this, fixes that, whatever. But before they release it, it's got to go through tests. It's got to go through, and especially drug was a bad choice because it goes through long-term tests, repercussions, after effects, side effects, blah, 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 blah. And then when they finally agree that it's okay, it gets released. Well, if we're going to do steroid testing, I just felt that we needed to make sure that we knew what the hell we were testing for, make sure the fighters knew what was going on and all that stuff. Just because Floyd was in a position and just because some of the other handful of fighters that were subjected to it early on, like Floyd was demanding for his opponents, not all fighters, not all commissions, not all testing agencies were up to speed. And my point about the IBF was I just felt that they, and trust me, I don't like the IBF. I'm not an employee of the IBF. You know, I mean, I just felt that it was a better move for them to at least act. Okay, I'm even changing my wording. At least act like they were, you know, seeking advice from an expert or what have you, with the levels of testosterone that was found or that was supposedly in Lamont Peterson's system or whatever. You know, so that's my point. That's my point. You know, I just felt that it was a more educated approach to you know, cleaning up the sport rather than a rush to judgment. That's all. That's all I meant. You know, I didn't you know, say that it was okay for anyone to use performance enhancing drugs. You know, I didn't say attaboy IBF. You know, Lamont deserves to be the champ. I didn't say any of that. I didn't even comment on whether I thought he deserved to be or not. I just felt that they did something that the other sanctioning bodies did not do. They actually thought it out and seeked a third party, so to speak, to look at it. Now, who that third party is a whole nother ball game. You know, it could have been somebody's cousin or uncle or brunkle, for God's sakes. I don't know. But anyway, that was my point. And no, I'm not going to base any fact. I'm not going to watch 24/7 and think that anything is fact on that show. That is just a commercial for leading up to an event. That's all it is. You know, and if you think for a minute you're getting true inside stuff being filmed, you know, that's like these reality shows, man. I'm not a big reality show guy, but, you know, come on, man. You know, if you don't think that they do double takes and they're not acting in front of the cameras and all of that, yes, I will admit that after a while you don't even notice. I got cameras I'm looking at right now. I don't even notice that they're here. Half the time I forget that they're on. I forget, you know, that you know, we got a live mic and stuff like that. Yes, I admit that happens. But I'm sitting here with a camera and occasionally with somebody, one person in the studio. You know, on those reality shows, you got a camera crew. You know, how do you forget that? How do you forget a camera crew when you got 4 or 5 guys with lights and everything else following you around? How do you forget what's going on? You know, so come on, man. Come on. Anyway, EQX, keep up the emails. You know I love you. Manophonics says, in capitals with exclamation points, Bernard Hopkins. I don't know what that means. Does that mean Bernard Hopkins like haha in your top 10, Dave Murphy? Or does it mean Bernard Hopkins rules? I don't know. He didn't finish. He didn't finish the sentence, you know. But anyway, hey, our rankings have been updated and posted. Check them out. Let me know what you think of our BillyC rankings. You know, we try to follow the rule. You know, the guy who beat the guy type of a thing, and you know, that's pretty much it. You know, and we have the top 10. And then we have an others category, which is the next 5. The next 5 ranked fighters, in our opinion. So really, in order, too. So really, we have the top 15. And, you know, belts don't make a difference to us. We don't put really a value in anyone's belt. We look at the fighter and who they fought and who they fought, you know, who their opponents have fought. And that's how we come up with it. And let us know what you think. You know, we're talking about the heavyweight. Well, we're talking about the middleweight division right now, all-time great. You know, I look at the middleweight division that we have right now, and I chuckle to myself because, you know, there's nobody in that list that would ever be an all-time great. Maybe Chavez Jr. if he goes to training. Maybe Martinez. Even you know what? No. But speaking of heavyweights, which I started to speak of, I'm going to let you guys in on a little secret. I'm going to be doing a show for another television network. Hopefully it's going to lead into a regular show, similar to what we do here, but different. It's going to be more of a television-based show and not this one. And I'll fill you in on it as time goes by, but it's coming up soon. We're going to be filming it fairly quickly. All right, I'll give you a hint. It has to do with the Tomaz Adamek fight coming up against Travis Walker. So that's all I'll say right now. But the bottom line is this. the way our top 10 heavyweights are right now, we have Vladimir Klitschko, number 1, Vitaly Klitschko, number 2, Alexander Povetkin. Now, I don't believe that Alexander Povetkin is number 3. That's not my opinion, but that's the general consensus of our panel. So, who am I to argue? Except I disagree with it. I have Tomasz Adamek on my own personal one at number 3. We have him at number 4 on the website, on BillyC Boxing. We have Chris Arreola, number 5, who hasn't really fought since February. We have David Haye, number 6. He moved into Chisora's spot after knocking him out. We have Kubrat Pulev at number 7. We got Helinas at number 8. We got Chisora dropping down to number 9. And we got Tyson Fury in there at number 10. This is our top 10 heavyweights in the world. Then we have Dennis Boistov, Tony Thompson, Seth Mitchell, Ruslan Chagayev, and Moritz Wach to round out the top 15. Now, right on the cusp of the top 15, so number 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, so to speak, is Kevin Johnson, Bryant Jennings, Alexander Dimitrenko, Juan Carlos Gomez, David Price, and Olander Solis. That wraps out really our top 20 heavyweights, in our opinion. My question to you, and with the backdrop of the show that I'm going to be doing, is who's going to replace the Klitschkos? Is anyone going to replace the Klitschkos? Do we have anybody right now that's campaigning as a heavyweight, whether they're young or old or whatever? Is anyone going to beat the Klitschkos over the next? Are the Klitschkos going to be beaten, or are they going to walk away on their own? That's a better way that I should rephrase it. And you know what? That's going to be our new poll question. Will they be beat or will they retire? And we'll have to focus on Vlad, okay? We'll have to focus on Vlad because Vitaly's going to retire. He's going to get elected and he's going to retire. So, speaking of retiring, we had a fight yesterday. Yeah, that's right. You probably didn't even think anything of it. We talked about it with Amy Green yesterday. It was a female fight. Mia St. John, the ex-Playboy bunny, or at least she posed in Playboy, and Christy Martin, who was pretty popular in the 80s on the undercards of Mike Tyson, late 80s, early 90s. And she made the news of late because her ex-husband, James Martin, who she was, they had a real good relationship. When I met Christy up at the Hall of Fame one year, she was a cutie. She was a real little cutie, and she seemed happy and everything. Then she switched teams and, had an affair with another woman who she's currently with now. And James Martin took offense to that and tried to kill her. Yeah, he lost his mind and tried to kill her. Shot her, stabbed her, the whole nine. So she survived that. But my question is, will she survive Mia St. John? They fought last night. I'll talk about the results in about 2 minutes.
Are you ready, America? Then let's get it on with Fight Now TV. It's time, fight fans. Your channel has arrived. All the fights, all the names, all the action. From world-class boxing events to mixed martial arts showdowns and other combat sports matchups, Fight Now TV delivers the hits and more. Call your television provider and tell them you want to get it on with Fight Now TV. For more details, go to fightnow.com.
Broadcasting in all corners of the globe, on the web and radio.
He would scoff at a stretcher then, man, I would
think. You're listening to Talkin' Boxing with BillyC from upstate New York in the good old US of A.
Boxing is here to stay because we are here to stay.
The best 2 hours of boxing talk on the airwaves.
Hey, fight fans, check out KOFantasyBoxing.com. KO Fantasy Boxing is boxing's only trademarked fantasy game. Check it out, www.KOFantasyBoxing.com. Select your own gym, your own fighters, track them through a season that can last from 3 months to a year, depending upon which league you join. You got to check this out, man, www.KOFantasyBoxing.com. Join it today. Again, www.KOFantasyBoxing.com. And tell them BillyC sent ya.
Now back to Talkin' Boxing with BillyC, the only radio host man enough to take a punch from Mike Tyson.
Wait a minute, man. Hold on there. Jeremy, man, I need you to take this one, all right?
Wait, what? No way. I can't do this.
Need I remind you I'm BillyC, damn it? Now put on that mustache and get in there.
Hey, look at me. I'm BillyC. Crap.
The undisputed heavyweight champion of Boxing Talk Radio. It's Talkin' Boxing with BillyC.
Test 1, 2. Test 1, 2. My fellow Americans, good evening. Welcome back to Talkin' Boxing with BillyC. It's great to be here discussing the sweet science with everybody. I love boxing. I love talking boxing. It's what I do.
Bill.
Wait, what?
Bill.
Why are you interrupting me? What?
Wrong.
What's
wrong,
the problem?
Billy, C.
I did not have...
We're gonna have to ask
wrong
you.
speech. What do you mean wrong, Billy C? What's going on here? Fine, I'll go. I just wanted to talk some boxing on TPSradio.net. That's all I wanted to do. I don't need your damn show. I'll get my own talking wrestling with the other Billy C. Yeah, that sounds good. I've always been a Hulkamaniac anyway.
Broadcasting live, brother. Welcome back to Talking Boxing with BillyC on the mighty TPSradio.net, brother. What you gonna do, brother?
And we're back. You're listening to the Talking Boxing with BillyC show. You're watching us on the Fight Now television channel. And if you don't have Fight Now in your sports channel lineup, you need to call your local television provider and tell them you want Fight Now right now. It's that simple. Pick up the phone and call. For all the information about the channel, you can find it on their website, www.fightnow.com. And before we went to break, we were talking about the Mia St. John and Christy Martin fight. Come on, let's be real. There was not much interest in that fight at all. And, I don't know if you saw it. I saw my man John sent me some, I guess, illegal video footage somebody took with their phone. How do you stop? It happened to us when we did the Holly Holm, Anne-Sophie Mathis fight. The first one. And it wasn't supposed to be released at all. And, with people with their phones and the video capabilities of the phone, it was on YouTube before the knockout was on YouTube before you could even get out of the venue, before the traffic cleared, But they fought yesterday, last night, in what they were talking about. It was Christy Martin. She was trying to get her 50th win. Didn't happen. Mia St. John outboxed her. Mia St. John improved to 46 wins, 11 losses, 2 draws, 18 come by knockout. Christy Martin stuck at 49. Not the age. She's almost at 49. 49 wins, 7 losses, 3 draws. And 47 wins, 7 losses, 3 draws, and 31 of her W's come by knockout. Couldn't get the knockout last night at the Table Mountain Casino in California. Mia St. John's 45. She still looks great, though, huh? And Christy Martin, she's 44. Like I said, when I met her up at the Hall of Fame one year, she looked like a cutie pie. Well, she's not looking too good right now. And she didn't look good last night. It was a close fight. It wasn't exactly an entertaining fight. The way the judges scored it was 2 of them saw it at 96-94. Third had it at 97-93, all in favor of Mia St. John. What makes this fight even worse is that the Scourge sanctioning body called the WBC actually put their female super welterweight title on the line for this fight. Why? Mia St. John hadn't fought in a bit. Christy Martin, I guess they both fought within a year. Man, maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. But come on, you're going to tell me you couldn't find 2 better suited fighters to fight for that belt? I guess the belt is still available because both of the fighters retired afterwards. So I don't know. Congratulations is in order, I guess, to Mia St. John for winning, and congratulations to both of them for retiring. Bryant Jennings. You know, bye-bye Jennings, that's his nickname. You know, this kid is exciting. And what I like about this kid is that he's fighting. No, not just staying busy fights. He's fighting fights, man. This guy, listen, he steps in. First of all, he steps in as an undefeated fighter, and they take over the main event. And that's how we meet the guy on NBC Sports when he fought Brian Freight Train Myron, or whatever his name was. And or Myron Bryant, yeah. It was or Brian. Yeah, it's Brian, not Bryant. And Bryant Jennings and him fought. They were two young fighters, undefeated fighters going at it. And that's how we met Bye-Bye Jennings. Then we see him fight. You know, he steps in there again, and they figure they're going to feed him to, you know, to a better fighter like Sergey Lukaevich. And first he fights Mo Brian, beats Maurice Bryan, Freight Train. Then Lukaevich is supposed to be making a comeback, so they figure, well, you know, Jennings just beat Bryan. They were the main event. So Lukaevich was supposed to be on that card. Okay, let's do this. Let's put Lukaevich. Let's give him Jennings. And Jennings goes on to beat the crap out of Lukaevich, sending him pretty much into obscurity. And then he had a couple of more fights, or at least one more, against Steve Collins, who was a knockout puncher. But, you know, the powers that be that surround Jennings finally realized that, hey, man, maybe we got something here. You do have something there. And the reason why is because the kid's got some pop. The kid is small. He's entertaining. He comes in shape. He never seems to get tired. You know, all of that is great. I mean, Jennings is a breath of fresh air, and he's going to be on the undercard of Adamak Walker. And again, they're putting him in tough. He's fighting Chris Covell. Chris Covell is no layup for this kid. Chris Covell is a tough fighter. You know, my only hang-up with Bye-Bye Jennings is, can he handle a 260-something pound guy, a 250-pound guy, 6'7"? He reminds me of a young Evander Holyfield when he was starting to become a heavyweight. That's who he reminds me of. He's got that kind of, he fights even in that style, in spurts, you know, goes in after his opponent, you know, knocks him around a little bit, gets out of harm's way. The kid is conditioned well. I love him. I love it. I'm looking for good things with him. I am. You know, I mentioned, you guys know, I've talked about it in the past. I'm a Rottweiler guy, you know, and I just grabbed the puppy, right? I got my regular one, my main man, and Duke. And then now I got a puppy, right? So I'm just giving you some advice. You know, I had to go to the bank. You know, I was robbing a bank the other day. I decided to, you know, maybe drive in the drive-thru and, you know, slip a note to the teller and give me all your money. I got a Rottweiler in the car. And unfortunately, the people at the bank saw the puppy, you know, and we drew attention of everyone inside the bank. They came and you know, wanted to see and ooh and an eye like it was a newborn baby, for God's sakes. And all the while, the other guy, Duke, who loves to take the trip to the bank because his big goal in life is to get the biscuit that the bankers give him, and he's drooling like that movie Airplane. Remember the movie Airplane when the pilot's sweating, you know, and they got like a hose hooked up to him? And he's just sweating and sweating. That's how my man Duke is drooling, anticipating this little biscuit that gets caught in his teeth. It's so small. And they're oohing and ahhing over the stupid puppy. Case in point, man, don't go to rob a bank and bring a puppy because you're not going to get away with it. Joining us right now is my main man, Alex Pierpaoli. What's up, brother?
Good morning, Billy C. How you doing?
Oh, better. I was trying to rob a bank yesterday, and instead of bringing a gun, I brought a couple of Rottweilers, and I just realized that you can't bring a puppy because, you know, they notice you, you know.
Well, maybe you got to throw the puppy down on the ground, and then when they all go to squeeze him and hug him, then you run the other way with the money.
Either that, or you could be really vicious and hold the puppy and, put a gun to the puppy's head. I swear I'm going to blow this puppy away, Never.
One move and the puppy gets it.
Yeah, one move and the puppy gets it. Oh, my God, no. But anyway, hey, this is the last 2 weeks have been really slow in the sport. First and foremost, some topics that I've been being the one topic I've really been being hammered on is my comments the other day about the IBF. It was taken wrong by most of the listeners, and maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm 100% wrong, and I wanted to get your thoughts on it. I don't know if you caught it, but the bottom line is this. The IBF reinstated, they never took away the title from Lamont Peterson in the middle of all of this controversy with the testing positive and everything else. And what I thought that they did a good thing had nothing to do with the title or anything, but what I thought was a positive note was that they actually sought advice of an expert to learn more about what the levels meant and everything else before they made their judgment. And I thought that was a move in the right direction. Not that I'm supporting the IBF, not that I think they're great, not that I like Lamont Peterson, nothing like that. I just thought that it was a move in the right direction in terms of educating themselves about this steroid thing, which is relatively new in our sport anyway. And I was murdered by the listeners saying how they're disappointed in me and how could I do this, blah blah blah. What's your thoughts?
I think I'm side more with the listeners.
That's it. You're dead to me. I'm hanging up on you, man. What?
Well, I think you do have a point. I think you're right that they did need to look into it deeper and get more research. However, I think their findings, are inadequate. If what they're saying, what they claim is that a banned substance is a banned substance, then this is part of the problem. He confessed to using a banned substance for the first fight. He never tested positive for that. He tested positive for the potential rematch, but again, and this is chiefly through the reporting of Gabe Montoya, we found out that, and this is where this is a big story, because if he hadn't selected the VADA testing that had a more stringent requirement, he would have passed, and he would have been able to defend his title against Amir Khan, because the amount of testosterone in his blood was, it would have fallen under the reportable amounts under the WADA testing. He chose the VADA testing, VADA, which is more stringent and uses that carbon isotope testing. And because of that, I think he definitely deserves some sort of repercussion. Now, I think you're right in terms of the research factor, because, yes, his level of testosterone was, I think it was 3.7, something like that, to 1. Now, if it was 4.0 to 1, then it would have clicked a positive under the WADA testing, and they would have caught it too. However, I'm not convinced. I mean, from what the research out there suggests, this would be a guy who had 4 times the level of testosterone than a normal level in a regular person, which is 1 to 1. He has almost 4 to 1 ratio, so you have to imagine that's giving him a benefit. So I sort of disagree with the IBF's, well, not sort of, I do disagree with the IBF's finding that it didn't give him benefits. I think it's likely that it did give him some sort of strength benefit. How much that it benefits in a fight, I'm not sure, because we've seen Antonio Tarver was on steroids. He didn't look very good in that fight. How much did it help him? Was that a weight-cutting steroid and it does something different? How about James Toney when he beat John Ruiz? He was on a steroid. Now, did he win because he was on a steroid? How much do these things actually benefit? Yes, I think people are right to think any strength advantage in a sport where you're bashing guys in the head is an unfair advantage. But I'm not sure. What the IBF did was not at least, it's not consistent with their policy in that using a banned substance should get you banned. In the sense of right and wrong, Lamont Peterson, when the doctor said, I'm putting this testosterone pellet into your body, he should have said, whoa, don't. I'll never pass my drug test. So if you go by that, yeah, he should have been stripped.
Yeah, and the other thing is that's a whole nother issue, because he was supposed to inform the commission that he was under medical advice to take any kind of drug. So I mean, he has
and that's again back to the Gabe Montoya stuff, because that's where it comes into like you've talked about in the past. And I know I'm going to get given Quality 24 angry here, but that's what the whole question of Floyd Mayweather. WADA has that therapeutic use clause. Has there been exceptions made for prominent fighters under that therapeutic use clause? And if that's so, have they been levels as high as 3.7 to 1? Because if that's the case, then weren't they getting a benefit? And they didn't even get reported, because WADA doesn't report them unless they're over 4 to 1.
Well, again, everybody, including you, with the comments, were more focused on the steroid, whereas my intention wasn't. I just felt that it's all new. It's all new, and if we want to give credit to Floyd, I think he deserves it, for at least starting the ball rolling. But then, like with the ABC, just a month or so ago, they just made it universal throughout all the commissions here in the United States that they base their banned substance list on WADA, WADA's banned substance list, which is updated on a daily basis or what have you. So to me, that was a step in the right direction. Testing, for fights is a step in the right direction. All of that stuff is a step in the right direction. But, when do you flip the switch? I mean, you can always, fighters are going to say, I didn't know. I forgot. I didn't tell you about this because the doctor gave it to me. I didn't know. You can only accept that for so long. I'm saying that now that we have defined procedures, a definitive list that all the commissions agree to, now you can really reinforce and go after these fighters. But all of this stuff that we're talking about has happened prior to the definitive direction that the commissions go in. And I just had, what started the whole thing was I was saying to myself, well, now that the ABC has this set in place, I could see these big four, the top four guys that we know of, Macronelli, Berto, Lamont Peterson, and Antonio Tarver, those four guys getting a slap on the wrist, and, should they test positive again, possibly be suspended indefinitely. But from this point on, we can really enforce the rule. But prior to that, I think it's just a gray area.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I think testosterone, there was nothing gray about that. Testosterone has been a banned substance. That's what he tested positive with. It wasn't like he had an antihistamine that was like on the list but not really performance enhancing. Testosterone is considered performance enhancing, and that's not newly considered it. That's been considered for a while. I think the level is where the question comes in. But I think we know more. The fact that, a reporter can get the stories that he has, and again, I'm talking about Montoya because he's really led the charge on this issue. I think that the sanctioning bodies who are supposed to be protecting the fighters and regulating our sport should be at least able to keep up with the education curve that a reporter is basically sort of leading the way on. And if they did their homework and even just read his articles, I think, and followed some of the information that's been put out. It's not just him, too. I mean, I think Margaret Goodman has given seminars. Victor Conte has given seminars. I think the information's out there. I think the sanctioning bodies, like, it shouldn't be surprising, are going to do things at their own pace. And maybe in that sense, then we can at least hope that they're moving in the right direction now. And maybe if that was what your point was, yes, I'd agree. But I think that they could have been a little more definitive on this, because testosterone, I don't think there's any question about it being, there's not like you have to research that. I'm a little surprised that they got a doctor to say he wouldn't have benefited from it, because I would think that if you have almost 4 times the amount of a normal person, a normal athlete, then you're probably getting a benefit from it.
Yeah, no. Listen, I'm glad they're moving in the direction they are, in general, and whatever. I just hope that it's just ironic that all 4 of the guys that seem to have been busted, the high-profile guys, all were on record as requesting to have the fight tested. Lamont Peterson was the one that wanted them tested to begin with. So I mean, it just seems strange. And that's what makes it so. It speaks to the credibility of the test methods they're using, because, and also I think some of the unfortunate, like you said, some of the lack of education in terms of the fighters, because Lamont Peterson should have realized what his doctor was saying when they prescribed what they did. Andre Berto, even though he was working with Victor Conte, the fact that he tested positive, I believe the substance was nandrolone, which is such a sort of primitive form of steroid, that or PED, I should say. That's why it didn't have Conte's fingerprints on it, and it was much more likely that it was some sort of cross-contamination, because it was such a primitive steroid. If it was a Conte concocted steroid, you would think it would be something exotic. That was his specialty. So I think that we are in a learning period, but exactly who it is that's learning here, I think we're still trying to find that out. Yeah, well, like I said, it's heading in the right direction. I took a beating over it, and it was, my thing was I've never supported performance-enhancing drugs. It was just that I wanted, I was following. I ripped a page out of the Alex Pierpaoli book. I was trying to make sure everybody was well educated in the subject, and and
I think you're in a way, the idea of like not rushing to judgment is a sound one in most cases, but I think in this case, if they're going to say using a PED is going to get you banned, then they need to be 100% on that, because otherwise it smacks of hypocrisy. But I think that there is a question, and hey, since it's Shark Week, the bull shark, for example, is a shark that has a higher testosterone level than any other animal on the planet. So people have always thought that's why it's so aggressive. The thing is, now some of the studies are saying, well, maybe it's not the testosterone that makes it like that. So I think there are still things that science is learning about what exactly testosterone does to the body and how much it can benefit you. Because if Lamont Peterson had like almost 4 times a regular person's amount of testosterone in it, did he look 4 times better than Amir Khan in their fight? I don't think so. I think he barely won that fight. So how much do these things really benefit you? I think that is a fair question.
Yeah, no, you're right. Shark Week, every time I turn on, because I like Shark Week too, and it always makes me wonder. It makes me know why I don't like to go in the water, man. I mean, they're nuts, but I always turn it on. I'm watching the same ones. I saw the same one from last year, and it's like, geez, don't they have any new shark stuff? I mean, I saw a guy, it almost looked like that footage of the guy in Massachusetts who's minding his own business in the kayak and looks behind him and is like they think that it was a 12 to 15-foot shark following him, And there was a guy, I saw a show, a shark guy, a camera guy, in the same type of a thing, and he's petting the things. He's petting wild sharks, and they're just like checking them out. They were females or whatever, young ones. But, you mentioned Amir Khan. And that's actually a question I had. I love Freddie Roach, and I've been asking this week. And, I know we talked about it in the past, but, it looks like Amir Khan and Freddie are going to part ways. And I don't know if I blame Amir Khan too much. He's not really pulling an Amir Khan. He's not pointing all the fingers at Freddie Roach. He is saying that, hey, I'm not Freddie's main focus. And I need a trainer and a team that's going to focus on me 100%. And I don't know if I can disagree with that. I think that that's very important. And then the second part of this is that, when you take a deep look at Freddie Roach, he's not doing too well lately with all of his fighters. I mean, Latif Coyote lost his mind and punched his trainer the other day. Now, granted, who knows what sparked that. We know what we know about Pacquiao's last performances. We saw Amir Khan's last couple of performances. Julio Cesar Chavez doesn't feel like training, so he misses training 4 days in a row. And although you could argue and say, well, hey, that's not Freddie Roach. Freddie Roach isn't performing in the ring. Freddie Roach isn't skipping training. Freddie Roach isn't punching other guys in the face. But the way I look at it is, he's the hub of this, and he's obviously not doing the same. He's not doing as well as he had in the past in the corner in terms of instructionally. What's going on?
Freddie's having a difficult year, it seems. That's for sure. I think a lot's probably riding on Martinez versus Chavez, and I'm sure that. Yeah, that's not a good sign if Chavez isn't showing up for camp and not training.
It's the biggest fight of his career.
Yeah, and in the way it's sort of breaking, it really is a do or die night for Freddie Roach. I think sometimes this happens where a trainer who becomes celebrated then ends up having a slump not too long after.
Well,
and
Buddy McGirt comes to mind, man. There was a time when, he was the hottest thing since sliced bread, and he had a couple of losses, and, he can't even get into a movie theater without paying double,
Yeah, I think that's sort of, I guess that's the nature of all sports, maybe, that, you're up one day and, and it's harder to stay up than it is to climb the mountain, But that said, I think with Amir Khan, I'm not sure I would put as much fault on Freddie as I would on his chin. I think maybe Freddie could have maybe helped with the strategy going into that fight.
How about adjustments? How about adjustments in the corner? He said nothing. I mean,
but there was really... once he was hurt, the damage was done. He got knocked out the next round, so he only had 60 seconds. I
know, and in that 60 seconds, and I'm no trainer. I never claimed to be, never acted like one, never, right? But in those 60 seconds, number one, you determine if your fighter is okay to continue. Once you make that decision, now he's still a little groggy. I would have thought Freddie would have been saying, okay, he's going to come after you. Get on your bicycle, hold him, clinch him, run away. Don't engage. Run around for the next 2-3 minutes. That's it. We'll regroup next round, But he didn't. Are you okay, son? Are you okay? Are you okay? Yes. Okay, here, have a sip of water. Go get him. What? What are you talking about,
Yeah. Yeah, it's, I guess, that is one of those things that, when you get the big bucks because you're supposed to, have that Angelo Dundee moment. You're blowing it, son. You're blowing it. But I'm not sure all that blame could go on Freddie. I think a lot of it has to do with in Khan's case with his chin. But I think you're right, at least about Manny. I think that Freddie should have been able to see that fight could have been a little closer than than Jim Lampley thought, at least. And I think that we've seen the last couple Pacquiao fights where Pacquiao didn't put his foot on the accelerator like he used to, and maybe Freddie could take some of the blame on that. I would say maybe especially in the last Marquez fight. I don't know. I think some of what Amy Green said yesterday, I think she was right on. I think let's wait and see how he does with Chavez Jr. because I think this is a big one. Not only is it in terms of just a big profile bout, pay-per-view and everything, but I think as we've talked about in the past couple of weeks, it's one of those fights where it really is a kind of tough fight to pick because of the size and a lot of the other factors. What seems like a gap in skill that the size and youth of Chavez might be able to make up for, but not if he's training and not if he's not training hard. So that's where Freddie comes in. Right.
Well, listen, we got to take a break, and when we come back, we'll get into the blast from the past. Ironically enough, we're talking middleweights this week, and we got the right guy. So, you ready to roll?
Middleweight madness, yep.
All right. Well, I'm with Alex Pierpaoli. We're going to be back with the blast from the past in about 2.
Talkin' Boxing with BillyC now has official merchandise available on TalkinBoxing.com. T-shirts, sweatshirts, hoodies, and mugs. And yes, even undergarments. Talkin' Boxing apparel is the perfect gift for the boxing fan in your life. Log on to www.talkinboxing.com. That's TalkinBoxing.com and place your order today.
Join us here for 2 hours as Billy and the gang do what they do best.
Every time I start talking about boxing, a white man got to pull Rocky Marciano out their ass. Rocky Marciano was good, but compared to Joe Louis, Rocky Marciano ain't.
You beat Joe Louis's ass.
Joe Louis was 75 years old when he fought.
Huh?
What?
We're supposed to be talking boxing.
It's Talking Boxing with BillyC.
As BillyC sits here in the multi-million-dollar Talkin' Boxing Studios, sipping a fine wine before you're even out of bed, you should be thinking, damn, I wish I had a mustache like his. It's the Talkin' Boxing with BillyC show. He's BillyC, and you're not. Sucks to be you.
Now let's dig into our archives and hear a rare interview when BillyC first became the champion of boxing talk radio. Hello, BillyC. As the new champ, can we ask you a few questions?
Why, certainly.
Okay, your fans would like to know how you and your corner have successfully walloped the competition.
We're not ordinary people. We're morons.
Anything else?
I'm a victim of circumstance.
Did your success finally come when you made the show 5 days a week for 2 hours? What do you think?
I'm trying to think, but nothing happens.
Now, please tell the listeners what you've learned from making it this far.
Certainly. If at first you don't succeed, keep on sucking till you do succeed.
Great words of wisdom, BillyC. Keep up the great work as the undisputed People's Champion with your show, Talkin' Boxing with BillyC. Any last words to anyone who's listening?
This is your fault, you bonehead.
And we're back. You are listening to the Talking Boxing with BillyC show. You're watching us on the Fight Now television channel. And if you don't have Fight Now on your sports channel lineup, you need to call your local television provider, whether it's cable, whether it's a cab driver, whether it's cable or satellite. Doesn't matter. Pick up the phone and call them. Tell them, I want Fight Now right now. For all the information about the channel, you can visit their website, www.fightnow.com. And speaking of now, it's time for
Blast from the Past.
The fight is
We shine the spotlight again on fighters from years past.
Top ranking. Joe Louis is the leading contender.
Joe Frazier with a left hook. Good right hand thrown by Foreman that time. Look at that left hook. Belt that goes to Ray Mancini.
It's Blast from the Past on Talkin' Boxing.
And this week's Blast from the Past is being sponsored by the International Boxing Organization, where their computerized ranking system is second to none. It features former world middleweight champion and Boxing Hall of Famer Carlos Monzon. And here to give us the skinny on Carlos Monzon is my main man, Alex Pierpaoli. Are you happy that we're using the music now?
I'm very happy.
Alex is happy.
I don't want to jinx myself here, but I don't know if you can hear the thunder, but it is absolutely pouring thunder and lightning right in the air.
Well, I hope it stays.
If the line goes dead, I've just been electrocuted.
Well, that's remember you and I were talking before I lost power for like 4 days. You know, we're in the middle of a conversation, and all of a sudden it's like, you know, I was like, what happened? You know, and I lost power, not to return for 4 days. You know, but anyway, tell us about Carlos Monzon.
Carlos Monzon, yeah, I heard some of the discussion yesterday, some of the middleweight greats, and this guy definitely, as you were alluding to yesterday, Bill, when a lot of people think of the sort of modern corollary to some of the greats, like the Harry Grebs and the Mickey Walkers, the first guy that comes to mind is Carlos Monzon, because he had that ferocity and, you know, was a throwback-type fighter. He was a big guy for a middleweight, 5'11 and a half, and was born August 7th. Oh, sorry, I lost my page here. Born August 7th, 1942 in Santa Fe, Argentina, and fought as a middleweight. He was one of 12 children, and they grew up incredibly poor. He had many jobs.
What were they, Catholic? What were they, Catholic? Sorry, go ahead. I'm Catholic. For all the Catholics out there, I'm Catholic too, all right? So come on, I don't want the hate mail. I just knew Alex would get a kick out of that. Go ahead.
And he is Catholic, as a matter of fact, and he was a devotee of Our Lady of Guadalupe. I don't know if some of your listeners might be familiar with that. Yeah, this was a guy who, like I said, was very ferocious, just under 6 feet tall, and he carried the punch of a giant oak. That's what some writers said. I think that is a quote from Burt Sugar. He fought shrewdly and intelligently. He didn't do anything particularly, like he didn't have like a signature punch or something, you know, like a bolo punch or something, but he had a great jab and a monster right hand. He lost only 3 times in his first 20 bouts, and he never lost again.
That's amazing. You know, that stat is amazing because as we know now, the guy was learning how to fight, you know, I mean, and then once he caught on, he was virtually unbeatable. You know, the thing about this guy that amazed me was, you know, when you watch footage of him or you know, people that had the luxury of watching him, you know, fight before he passed, you know, he would give the illusion that he was lumbering and slow and you know, just methodical in the ring. But he actually had deceptive hand speed, and this guy was always in really good shape. And when you add that with the power that he seemed to have in both hands and his aggressive style, but they say he was aggressive but cautious. You could see why it was tough for him to lose after he learned what the hell to do in there.
Yeah, and I think I've made this comparison before, but you know, it's like gunfighters who have that coolness about them, where they just they can't be rattled. You know, that's the way he was. He was like a pressure fighter. He knew he could get you, and he was patient about it and insistent about it. Eddie Futch thought of him as one of the great right-hand punchers. He put him up there with Max Baer, Max Schmeling, and Ingemar Johansson. So even though some of his knockouts were kind of attrition knockouts, Futch, you know, the great Eddie Futch, thought of him as a big right-hand puncher. You know, he ruined fighters. Jose Napoles was never the same after Carlos Monzon beat him. A lot of people thought. That's somebody we should do a blast from the past on at some point. Jose Napoles. I really don't know much about him.
Sounds good. Mark it down. You know, he had a pouring jab. His jab was like not really a snappy jab. You know, I like a nice snappy jab, and apparently judges like it too. But he had more of a pouring jab. It would kind of, I don't know. I guess he used it really to set up his right hand. I mean, let's face it. That was where his power came from.
Yeah, and I think that I always like to do this, is try to find a guy, a current fighter that you could kind of compare him to. And the only guy I could think of, but Monzon is much better and about 20 pounds larger, is Antonio Margarito. Maybe when Margarito was at his best, the way Margarito was sort of pressuring. He didn't do any one flashy thing, but you could count on him like the tide, that he was going to be coming on as the rounds wore on. He'd just keep punching and walking you down, and that's the way Monzon was. And Monzon definitely, again, like we see in a lot of these blasts, just a string of Hall of Famers that he defended his title against.
Yeah, you want to do a comparison, and I know this is going to freak you out and probably freak listeners out too, and especially what I'm about to say, but, getting to his jab, his style of his jab. Now, let me just start, before I say it, by saying I believe that Carlos Monzon was much more exciting than this fighter I'm about to mention, and I think overall he was a better fighter than this fighter I'm going to mention. But when you look at the jab and the style of which they each threw their jab, Vladimir Klitschko throws his jab almost identical to Carlos Monzon. He kind of paws it, with that right hand cocked, ready to just, come after you. And that's kind of what Carlos Monzon did, but a little more exciting. He would throw more than just one right hand. He would throw, multiple punches and stuff like that, and he was very aggressive, whereas Vladimir is not. But if you just isolate the jab, they were very similar, very similar.
Yeah, there is some good clips of him on YouTube, and listeners could check out what you're talking about. As a matter of fact, I think most of the first fight with Nino Benvenuti, which was the first occasion where he fought outside of South America, and it was November 7th, 1970. That's where he won the middleweight title. It was actually the fight of the year that year, so that one's definitely worth a wow. That one's definitely worth a look.
I hear that. I heard that right. That particular fight, the Benvenuti fight, the first one in 1970. Are you still there?
Yeah, I'm
here. Oh, yeah. I thought I heard smoke. I thought maybe it got me.
I'm a little
But was that your kitty?
That one was a little close for comfort.
Was that the kitty that just latched into your back? But in that fight, in the Nino Benvenuti fight, that was when really the world got to meet Carlos Monzon, because up to that point, many people never even heard of the guy. Yes, he had a string of victories against good opponents on paper, but until he beat Nino Benvenuti, he was virtually unknown in the rest of the world. And then from that day forward, this guy became a movie star.
Yeah, he definitely liked the the exciting life and nightlife, and he was good looking, and he got into the picture shows.
He was the Joe Namath he was the Joe Namath the boxing, man. He really was. He had the mink coats, he had the girls all over him. I mean, he was loving it.
Yeah. It really, I couldn't help but thinking as I was, going over my notes and stuff, I'm a little surprised we haven't seen a movie about this guy, because, there's so many elements about it that, it's drama, it's tragedy, there's a lot there, and it's kind of surprising that someone hasn't done a dramatization of his life.
Isn't there's not even a book on him, is there?
I don't know.
I never saw one.
Know of.
I never saw a book on him. You know, I mean, it's an interesting thing. Hey, maybe that could be our next project. And you know what? We could use footnotes. We could even have footnotes in it. But you know, once he won that title, he defended it for 7 years. He defended his title for 14 times, 14 defenses. I mean, you know, all the guys he beat, Emil Griffith and Jose Nipols, like you said, Rodrigo Valdez. I mean, just a who's who of the time. This guy was exciting and everything else, but now we get to the part that you like the best, I'm sure, the turbulent, violent end to his life, which was surrounded by some really funky stuff. He murdered his girlfriend, you know, ends up getting convicted and thrown in the slammer, which really wasn't as long as you would have thought. He gets sentenced to, I think, 11 years in prison, and he had some special treatment. Why don't you tell us about that?
Yeah, this is where it gets a little ugly, more than a little ugly. He proclaimed his innocence, but his wife is actually his third wife. They were never married officially, but she was a common-law wife, Alicia Muniz. She died from injuries from a fall off her balcony, and
she was sleepwalking. She was sleepwalking, right?
Yeah. Well, reports were that he threw her off the balcony.
I know, but he was trying to say she was sleepwalking, I think.
Yeah.
I think that was his version.
and then he threw himself after her, but the autopsy showed that she had suffered severe bruising to her neck even before the fall. He was sentenced, and he was sentenced only 11 years. I mean, he was beloved in Argentina, so perhaps that was the reason for some of the leniency. And he got a weekend furlough and was driving and helping to train some amateur boxers, and was driving back to jail when he crashed the car. And supposedly, some people thought it was a suicide attempt or suicide intention, and it worked. He did die, and another person was critically injured, and there was 2 deaths, Monzon, another guy, and a third person was critically injured. So yeah, tragic ending. And ironically, as much as his life, when you hear that horrible crime, you think that, well, this guy wasn't, certainly battered women probably protested this guy wherever he went. He actually, the prominence of that trial actually took away some of the taboo about talking about domestic violence in Argentina. So some good actually did come of it.
Now, the furlough wasn't the first one. I think he was in the latter part of his sentence, and he had been granted these weekend furloughs previously. And from what I understand, at least just the way I remember the story, is when he was racing back, he was running late, and when he crashed his car, and it was like a hot car too. It was a Porsche or some kind of sports car. It wasn't like he was driving an Oldsmobile. You know what I mean? And it was early morning, right? It was like
Yeah, it sounded like he had a bit of a job that he could help train these fighters, and that's what he was doing. So yeah, perhaps he was getting some of the perks. I don't know about if it was his car or what the story was, but yeah, it did seem like he did get some preferential treatment, and it didn't matter because he ended up that was the end. He died.
Yeah, no, it's sad story for sure. And ironically enough, a little twist here. You mentioned Rodrigo Valdez. He was a guy that had the title before at least the WBC belt before. I'm sorry. He had the when Carlos Monzon won the title from Nino Benvenuti. He ended up losing the title when he pretty much retired, so to speak. Rodrigo Valdez got it. He was stripped of it. Valdez got it again, and then when he was finally retired, fully, Rodrigo Valdez got it again. It seemed like that guy was forever tied with Carlos Monzon.
Yeah, Valdez did seem to shadow him for a while, and there was, he after Monzon defeated Napoli's, he was stripped of the WBC title because he didn't fight Rodrigo Valdez. But yeah, just 3 years later, actually 2 years later, he made up for that and did get him in the ring and defeated him over 15 rounds. And then just did it one more time. They definitely, in terms of if he had a nemesis, I would say that maybe Valdez was probably the nemesis. He definitely, he had two big fights with Nino Benvenuti, but Valdez was the one who, it's probably not the right way to say it because, of course, Monzon won the fight, but that convinced him to retire in the last fight with Rodrigo Valdez, who was a very tough Colombian fighter. Monzon was knocked down in the second round, and he did announce his retirement a few days later after that fight.
Yeah, but it's just ironic that both the WBC and WBA gave Valdez the shot at the vacant titles together. So when he won those titles, he won both of them.
Right.
Because
he already had the WBA, Monzon.
No, I know that, but I'm saying he won. They fought 3 times. He was stripped the first time, and then he had the WBA title. When he fought in 1976, he won a 15-round decision against Valdez, and he won back his WBC belt, right? Right.
Oh, I thought they only fought twice.
Yeah, no. You're right. But he was stripped. No, wait a second. He was stripped. He lost his belt after. I'm confused with Jose Napoli's fight, right? And he was supposed to fight Valdez. You're 100% correct. Valdez went on to fight for the vacant WBC belt. So Monzon had the WBA belt. He made 3 defenses. Then he fought Valdez in a unification fight and beat Valdez in a 15-round decision, right? Then the rematch was another 15-round decision, the fight that you're referring to, that Monzon retired afterwards. But then the guy who picked up the belt after that was Valdez. He ended up becoming the champion after he lost that second fight with Monzon.
Oh, yeah, because he was, he was just one of the top guys around there at that time because, if you look at the first fight was June 26, 1976, and a year later, Valdez must have still been right there at the top of the division, and the rematch was July 30th, 1977, a whole year later. So yeah, Valdez was still hanging around.
Right, but my point is that Valdez in August of that year, right? In August of 77, he actually won both those belts. They had been vacated. Both belts were vacated by Monzon. And Valdez, I believe, I don't have Valdez's stuff in front of me, but he won both of those belts. So when he became the champ, he had both belts. It's just weird that, I guess back then, the sanctioning bodies didn't care about unifications. Today they would have fought worse, outside the ring over who was going to be their champion.
Oh, that there would have been 2 title fights.
Exactly. Yeah, like normally that you would have said, okay, Valdez, you're our vacant number 1 guy for the WBC, let's say, and you're going to fight so-and-so, and you get the title. Now the WBA says, well, our number 1 guy is so-and-so, he's going to fight so-and-so, and you're going to end up with 2 champions. But instead, Valdez ended up positioning himself with back-to-back losses against Monzon to fight for the vacated titles, not one, but both, the WBA and WBC, in August of that same year. So,
he fought Benny Briscoe, and that, I think, that was part of why, I think, because even though we're talking about sanctioning bodies, and usually they are controlled by whimsy, at this time, there was really no doubt who the best people in the division were. And once Monzon was out of the picture, there was no argument that it was either Benny Briscoe or Rodrigo Valdez. So, boom, they fought again. It's weird looking at it now because there's no doubt about it. If it was today's sanctioning bodies, there would have been 4 different fighters that split the middleweight title.
And not only that, we probably would have only heard of 2 of them.
Right.
The other two guys would have just been the sacrificial lambs that would have come in. But anyway, Carlos Monzon, Hall of Famer, died too young despite the violent end of his life. His career was an exceptional one. He knew when to say when. Like you said, even though he beat Valdez in his last pro fight, he retired as a champion, something that, to me, brings a lot of value in this sport. Not many fighters have that luxury of walking away when they're on top. Carlos Monzon did. Unfortunately, his partying lifestyle and everything else brought him down hard. We lost him pretty young, man, at 52 years old, and it's a shame because I would love to see what a guy like Carlos Monzon has to say about today's boxing as he would have been, in his 70s now, so it's a shame. Carlos Monzon, former champ, Hall of Famer, blast from the past. Great job, Alex. You want to add anything else?
No, that's about it. Yeah, he was definitely one of the greats. And as a matter of fact, BoxRec.com sees him as second best all-time, right behind the great Ray Robinson. That would be a little higher than a lot of other people see him, but I thought it was significant.
Real quick, I only got a minute or two here. We're talking about the all-time great middleweights this week, and I'm asking the listeners to email me their all-time great top 10, Billy at talkinboxing.com, TALKINBOXING.com. Murphy's list, he's got Sugar Ray Robinson, number 1, Harry Greb, number 2, Carlos Monzon, number 3. Stanley Ketchel in there at 4, Mickey Walker at number 5, Marvelous Marvin at number 6, which, I love Marvin, but I just don't know if he's up that high. Charlie Burley at 7. He's got B-Hop at number 8. Emil Griffith at, he's got B-Hop and Griffith tied at 8. He's got Marcel Cerdan at 9 and Tony Zale at number 10. I'm not sure, number 1, that Bernard Hopkins belongs in the top 10. And number 2, I don't know if I'd rank Emil Griffith as a middleweight. He was much better as a junior middle. What's your quick thoughts on both?
I think Hopkins does deserve to be in there in the top 10. Probably under. I mean, the bottom half. I would not put him higher than 6. I don't think. But I think he's so cantankerous that I think that even the greats, he would have given them a hard time. I think that, but some of the bigger ones, like a guy like Monzon, I don't know. But see, the thing about Hopkins is that he's got more tricks up his sleeve than a guy like Monzon. And even though Monzon probably would have had him in power and conditioning, well, I don't know about conditioning even.
He was in great shape. Monzon was known for always being. Yeah, but look at all the other guys you could put it. I mean, first of all,
I know you hate Bernard Hopkins, but I mean, he's very skilled.
I hate him as a person. I'm not taking anything away from his skill set, but his skills aren't that great. Offensively, they're not. Defensively, yes. But look at the guys that you have to consider putting in front of him. First of all, old-timer, non-parallel Jack Dempsey was virtually unbeatable. I mean, that guy has to be in the list. Bob Fitzsimmons was a middleweight. Everybody remembers him as a heavyweight or even light heavyweight, but he was a middleweight. I mean, he's got to be ahead of him. What about Tyke?
I don't think I would have Griffith or Cerdan in the 10.
Cerdan. See, I don't disagree with Cerdan. His life was cut short with the plane wreck. But what about Jake LaMotta? What about Tiger Flowers? I mean,
Tiger Flowers I liked a lot, but I don't think I would put him. I don't know. The middleweight division has always been so great that, like you said, there's Jack Dempsey, the nonpareil. There's Mickey Walker, Harry Greb,
Ketchel,
Bob Fitzsimmons. Yeah, I mean,
there's so many. That's my point.
One, but I don't have a problem with Hopkins anywhere from 6 to 10.
See, I have Bernard Hopkins in my all-time great list. There's no question about that. But
and
I
just put Hagler higher than Murph has him.
But I got
him on my screen.
I know you have no choice. That's a different situation with you. But I just can't see him as a top 10 when you have all these great middleweights. Like you just said, the division was just so full of talent. And I mean, you could even argue about Benny Briscoe. I mean, does a title have to be in place? I mean, do you have to have had a world title? I mean, a guy like Benny Briscoe, you don't think he tears apart Bernard Hopkins as a middleweight?
Oh no, I don't think so.
Really?
I think I think Hopkins would have beaten him. I mean, for me, my top three, and I'm not sure on the order. Probably Ray Robinson number one, but I would also say Stanley Ketchel and Harry Greb are right up there.
Of course. And you know what? A guy that doesn't get a lot of credit. And I know you're going to laugh, and then I'm going to hang up on you. But no, I don't mean like that. I mean, we got to go.
Sturm.
Yeah, but no, Hurricane Carter.
Arthur Abraham.
Yeah, Felix Sturm. Yeah, okay, Dan. But no. I think Hurricane Carter was a fighter that really was that good, and it's unfortunate that his record doesn't indicate it, and what happened to him. And,
yeah, I mean, like Hurricane Carter, Charlie Burley, Benny Briscoe. There's almost like there should be another list for guys like that because Bobby Boogaloo Watts, all those guys were great fighters who loomed close to the title but never held it. And you could probably even find a lot more names like that.
Yeah, no.
It's always been, I mean, some people have thought, I remember reading this when I first got into boxing. I remember reading it in my high school library. I can't remember the name of the book, but there's been so many great middleweight fights for years. There's people wonder if that perhaps is the ideal weight of man.
Could be. It could be because, that's, I mean, 160 pounds, 165 pounds, is perfect for somebody. I know that's what I should be weighing. I think my leg weighs that, but anyway. Hey, it was a great segment, Alex, and make sure you call me later. We got something serious to talk about, my man.
All right, sounds good.
All right, take care.
Take care.
That's Alex Pierpaoli doing the Blast from the Past in the middle of a thunderstorm in Connecticut. But, hey, we got to take a break. When I come back, I'm scheduled to have the infamous Joe Santoliquito.
Talking Boxing with BillyC. Every week, 2 hours of the best boxing talk on the radio.
Mike Tyson looked like he put on some pounds. He was fat. He went into McDonald's and he just said to them, hey, give me 6 of everything on the menu. He put on 2 watches and covered 2 time zones. I'm talking fat here. Got on a scale the other day and it said, come on, one of you guys got to get off. Last thing I heard is that he jumped into the ocean and he left a ring around the continent. He's fat.
Boxing with BillyC.
Time for another major in golf. This time it's across the pond for the Open Championship. What's at stake? That's next on Sports Shorts with me, the Sports Princess.
Want to put some wild into your weekend? Come to the all-new Mesquite Pro Rodeo. Corral seats start at just $12, and kids are always half price. Get your tickets at Kroger and save $5. This weekend, meet the rodeo legends. Tractor Supply sponsors the Neil Gay Cowboy Reunion. The city ends and the Wild West begins at cool air-conditioned Mesquite Arena, I-635 and Exit 4, 7:30 Friday and Saturday. Mesquite is the official rodeo capital of Texas.
Filled with tricky pot bunkers that you have to climb into, no less. This year's Open at Royal Lytham and St. Anne's in England is certain to be tough, even for the most seasoned professional golfer. Tiger Woods, who hasn't won a major in 4 years, is looking to pick up his 15th career title. The last American to win at Royal Lytham was David Duval in 2001. Should Woods win, it would be his 4th Open, the last back in 2006. The Americans and the Europeans and everybody else in between know that this is no walk in the park, and with rain expected, they'll need more than umbrellas and a good caddy to navigate this 7,086-yard course that rewards great ball striking and punishes the rest. Whoever wins the Claret Jug will no doubt be playing some target golf at this major. I'm the Sports Princess with Sports Shorts.
Now back to Talkin' Boxing with BillyC. He may not have an Excellence in Broadcasting award, but the night's still young.
And he's got martinis.
So you never know what may be by morning. It's Talkin' Boxing with BillyC.
Talking Boxing with BillyC.
The one, the only, Don King.
Makes me feel good, Billy, to have you, the #1 show in the country, Talking Boxing with Billy. So I invite each and every American that's listening to this great show to tune in, because we want you to be there with Billy and me.
St. Jimmy's coming down across the alleyway, up on the boulevard like a zip gun on parade. Lights on the silhouette, he's in some buttonette, coming at you on the count of 1, 2.
And we're back. You're listening to the Talking Boxing with BillyC show. You're watching us on the Fight Now television channel. And if you don't have Fight Now on your sports channel lineup, you need to call your local television provider, whether it's satellite dish or cable, and tell them you want Fight Now right now. It's that simple. For all the information about the channel, you can find it on their website, www.fightnow.com. Speaking of now, hey, who's more opinionated than Joe Santoliquito?
Tons of athletes that have asthma, and they deal with it, pal. Deal with it. The hell with you, and the hell with you, and the hell with you. Until I see him enter the ring, where there's no jiggle to his wiggle. The man boobs aren't flopping all over the place. That's a joke. And it kind of cracks me up, this trash that they put on pay-per-view.
Joe Santoliquito. And speaking of Joe Santoliquito, he joins us right now. What's up, my man?
Hey, Bill.
Figured we'd break out the old intro, man. I know that's got a smile on your face. You've always liked that, right?
Yeah.
The two. And you. Yeah. Anyway, that's a good segue for what I wanted to ask you. First and foremost, I wanted to ask some stuff about the heavyweight division, but let me just get your quick opinion. It was a slow week last week in boxing, but Brian Vera beat Sergio Mora in a fight. It was a rematch. You know what, Joe? In my opinion, Sergio Mora is one of the most boring fighters ever to lace on a pair of gloves. Not that Brian Vera is more talented, so to speak, but he won. Clearly. What's your thoughts on Vera and Mora?
I always liked Vera, just from a handful of times. I saw him here in Philly. Always seemed to put out a good effort. So, that's good for him.
Yeah. The heavyweight division is, owned pretty much.
Dormant.
Yeah, well, it's owned pretty much by the Klitschko's and everything else. And a kid not too far from you is going to be fighting in Jersey in a couple of weeks. Bye-bye Bryant. This kid's kind of busted onto the scene. And one thing I like about him, Joe, is that he's not exactly been coddled. He's not exactly been thrown in with some easy fighters. I mean, the first time was on the NBC Sports Network. They had to step in him and Maurice Bryan, which were both undefeated young heavyweights at the time, become the main event. We get to meet Bye-Bye Jennings right then. He follows that where they, in my opinion, were kind of feeding him to Lukajevic. He knocks out Lukajevic. He fights a knockout puncher in Steve Collins. And all of a sudden he's facing Chris Covell on the next fight that he's going to be on the undercard of the Tomaz Adamek, Travis Walker fight. What's your thoughts on Brian Jennings?
Well, I did a story on him, and I think a lot of that had to do with how he progressed and how he was brought up in boxing, which I think is fantastic. He didn't get any breaks early on. You're going to have a mad scramble to sign a number of Olympians, and they will get some breaks. They will get a little. They'll be coddled here and there, and Jennings wasn't. He first off, he had aspirations to be in the NFL. He didn't even think about boxing or what
Did he play Did he play college football?
No. He played for a local high school team here in Philadelphia, and had some decent attention, had some looks, but academics got in the way, and or I should say lack thereof at that time in his life. But he had a nice job. I still believe I believe he still works full time for somebody, and they allow him the flexibility to commit to boxing to a degree, So I'm happy for him. I'm happy for the progress he's made, where he's going. He was never again given that golden carpet, that red carpet, to progress faster that you see Olympians get, or at least what Olympians used to get, and his harsh introduction to the sport has helped him along. I mean, it was almost every fight that he was in was make or break, and it caused him to become better and better. I think he's out there. I think he's in Seth Mitchell land. I think he and Seth Mitchell would put on a fantastic fight. But I do also know for a fact I have the strong impression that Seth Mitchell's people and Golden Boy Promotions wouldn't want any part of Bryant for obvious reasons. It's too much of a risk, and not enough reward for Mitchell as he comes up and he develops a little bit more.
When I look at first of all, two totally different fighters, of course, but when I look at Bryant Jennings, I see some similarities to Evander Holyfield when he made the splash into the heavyweight division. Same kind of body build, same kind of fighting in spurts, lunging forward, multi-punch combinations that Bryant seems to be able to get off and then get out of harm's way of his opponent that generally seem bigger than him, at least in weight and girth or build. So I see some positives, but the biggest negative is that same size. That same thing I'm saying is a positive is also his negative. When we look at the heavyweight division, and even when you mention a guy like Seth Mitchell, who I'm high on as well, I like Seth Mitchell. But when you look at the guys at the top, primarily with the last name of Klitschko, it's a whole other ball game. And although you could make an argument that a Seth Mitchell or even a Bryant Jennings could be very competitive against the Chris Areolas and the Tomas Adamaks and the Povetkians and even the bottom half, with the David Haye and Derek Chisora type fighters. As soon as you mention Klitschko, you don't know about that. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, I think that's the world right now. That's the boxing world that we live in. What's going to happen is they're just going to have to wait the Klitschko's out. I think the Klitschko's can, in my opinion, still dominate the heavyweight division for another 2 or 3 years. But I don't think boxing needs that. You have a situation where the Klitschko's, it's been some time since they fought in the United States, but as Vladimir put it to me a few years ago, he says, why? And he makes a valid point. Why? It's easy. Why? Because, they're filling up, German soccer stadiums, 60,000 seat, 70,000 seat German soccer stadiums for prime money, to beat the Thompsons of the world and guys like that. The Klitschko's aren't going anywhere. I mean, I think what Bryant Jennings and guys like him are going to have to concern themselves with is beating whoever else is out there and make that move and basically wait to inherit the throne. Because, again, I think Vili is going to retire either this year or maybe next year. So, you're down to one Klitschko. And Vladimir is right now at a point, in his career where no one's going to literally and figuratively touch his chin. So I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon. And really, I mean, it's a division that's going to need some kind of a jolt. I know Arreola is certainly he's a viable option. But right now we're at a stage where no one's going to beat any of the Klitschkos. So I think Bryant Jennings, his biggest thing is to continue doing what he's doing, to continue moving forward. And then hopefully, as he progresses, there's going to be an academic out there for the pickings. There's going to be a possibility of an Arreola, or that possibility again if he continues winning. Then hopefully there's going to be some kind of money, some kind of showdown where the powers that be at Showtime or HBS. We want to see Seth Mitchell against someone else that's a live body, and hopefully we'll get an opportunity to see that.
Well, Seth Mitchell is putting a lot on his win over Chaz Witherspoon. Coming back from being
Chaz Witherspoon.
That's what I'm getting at. My point is that's arguably his toughest opponent to date. He was in trouble in that fight, and he showed some heart, and he won in a devastating fashion. But how much weight do we put on Chaz?
That's the thing. Bryant Jennings spars Chaz Witherspoon on a fairly regular basis and beats the living hell out of him.
Yeah, see, well, that's why.
Believe me when I tell you, I'm there. I mean, I last time I saw him was a month and a half ago, and also I got to give credit where it's due. Fred Jenkins is his co-manager, is Brian's co-manager and trainer, and Fred's very old school. Fred's as old school as it gets here in Philly. He has developed a number of Philadelphia fighters who flew the coop on him, who turned around and after Fred got him a certain point in time, left him. And that's also something here, part of the reason why Jennings has fought the guys that he's fought and the steps. It's part of the reason why he's taken the steps that he's taken because of someone like a Fred Jenkins, who again is very old school and also has his teeth firmly in to Jennings. So this way he's not going to fly the coop on him. This way he's not going to get the old proverbial screw job, which I'm not going to get into the number of fighters and their names that screwed Fred over in the past, but there's a number of very recognizable Philadelphia area fighters that were developed by Fred and got the old dagger out and stabbed Fred in the back, to move forward. And that's not going to happen in this case.
Well, it happens a lot in this business. Unfortunately, it's the worst ever. Finally, last week we touched on it a little bit, but some more has happened, and I'm going to throw the question back at you again, my man. Freddie Roach, and I love Freddie Roach. I definitely do. But we look at Freddie, we see Manny Pacquiao's last several performances. We saw the two performances by Amir Khan. Now we're hearing that Latif Coyote kind of loses his mind against one of his trainers, who, let's be fair, provoked him, but he ends up smacking the guy, punching the guy with a closed fist without a glove on. Now he's facing criminal charges. And more recently, Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. decides to skip not one, not two, not three, but 4 training sessions where he's arguably training for the biggest fight of his career.
I told you on your air about Julio Cesar Chavez and the behind-the-scenes story with him. I think you kind of think highly of him. I'm not really too fond of him. I know there's a work ethic to a point with him, but he's really grown out of control, from what I understand. That he thinks he's above certain things, that he doesn't have to do certain things. That after all, Julio Cesar Chavez. Now, I'll tell you what, I give credit to the old man. I mean, Julio Cesar Chavez Sr. was difficult on a lot of different fronts. But I'll say this, he busted his ass. He worked hard. He made something, obviously, out of himself. And then to hand the mantle off to his son, who I think is fairly talented, obviously nowhere near as talented as his dad. I don't think we're going to be mentioning anytime soon Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. and the Hall of Fame. Like the Hall of Fame career his father had.
And his father did it in a much, much more difficult, much, much more competitive time than his son is succeeding. And his son's been carefully crafted and molded through the brilliance of the best promoter that ever promoted fights, since Bob Arum. But he's and I said this on your air, Bill, if you remember that. He's just bad news. He's bad news. He skirts things. He takes shortcuts on things. He just thinks he's above it because he, again, is Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., and I just don't have to do it because I'm me. And it's your pleasure to meet me. It's the world's pleasure to know me. I'm God's gift. You know what, pal? You're not God's gift. You know, I hope Sergio Martinez just crushes him. Just crushes him. I got the feeling that may happen.
Well, you know, if he's not preparing for arguably the biggest fight of his career, and by the way, the toughest opponent he's ever faced, it's just he'll deserve.
But in his small, juvenile, immature, stupid mind, he already has the fight won.
Right.
I mean, Jesus. I mean, he could turn around and just breathe on Sergio Martinez, and Sergio's got to roll because, after all, he is Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. He is an incredible Hall of Fame caliber fighter. I say that facetiously, if I can get that word out this time in the morning, facetiously. He's just. I think Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. is a clown. I really do. I give him points for the progress that he's made. I'll give him points for being a fairly decent fighter. He's turned into a better fighter. I'll be honest with you. He's turned into a much better fighter than I originally gave him credit for. But, Bill, he's still not upper crust. He's still not on the scale as his father was, even though the nation of Mexico would like you to believe certain things about him, even though Julio Cesar Chavez lives in that dream world about himself. I mean, I'm sure when he steps in front of a mirror, he sees a reflection of his father, Muhammad Ali, and Joe Louis put together. You know, he just lives in a funhouse. No. And, you know, those distorted mirrors of his are going to catch up with a brutal, you know, Sergio Martinez punch right on the chin, and that's going to put him in La La Land. And I can't wait to see that happen. I hope that happens. I think it's going to happen at a very interesting time. The both fights are competing against one another. I think Alvarez is on that same night.
Yes, a couple miles up the street. But you know, my thinking about Chavez is don't get me wrong. I don't think he's the greatest. You said exactly what I think. I think he's evolved into a pretty damn good fighter, way more than I originally thought. I originally thought he was just nothing, and now I've seen him get better and better.
You say good. I say decent. I say competitive fighter who's top. I wouldn't put him in my top. I wouldn't put him in my top 20. I might put in that. I'd put in that third tier between 20 and 25, maybe. I can't think right off the bat 20 fighters that are better than him. I can certainly think of 10 fighters that are better than him. But I don't. He's just not. He's not pound for pound top 10 in my book.
No, I don't have him in pound for pound. But hey, I only got a minute. How much of this do you think should be thrown? And I'm not just Chavez, but all of the things, all of the fighters, and what seems to be crumbling around him. Do we get to blame Freddie? I mean, you know, this is a guy that hasn't been too instructional in the corners of Amir Khan or Manny Pacquiao, even Latif Coyote in his fight against Antonio Tarver. I mean, you know, let's call a spade a spade. Is Freddie slipping or what?
Maybe so, but he's. I know he's seen Freddie in the minds of many, and I hate to say it, I'm kind of guilty of it myself a little bit. He is a Hall of Fame trainer, and he is a Hall of Fame trainer. I think a combination of things are happening to him right now at this stage in his life and his career. You're dealing with someone who's a little bit older, dealing with the incredible ability of him dealing with the ravages of Parkinson's and stretching himself incredibly thin. Yeah, I think he certainly had all of his eggs in the Pacquiao basket. And for as much as the world was told that Tim Bradley won that fight, Bill, we all know what happened in that fight. We all know the reality of it. Manny Pacquiao won that fight. We all know that. against Khan, with Khan, and I'm a Danny Garcia. I'm not going to apologize for Danny. Danny fought his tail off. That was something there where Khan, I think, did things that he wasn't told. That I think Khan went against. Well, I think actually, no. I'll tell you what. I will put Freddie to blame here to a point because I think he and Khan both had the impression they would breathe on Danny Garcia and he would roll over.
Exactly.
That Danny Garcia was really nothing, and it's the worst mistake. And I don't care what level you're fighting, what level of sport you're competing in. You know, you just do not underestimate anyone, and they are guilty. They are guilty of underestimating Danny Garcia and getting caught up in that. So yeah, I think Freddie is certainly at a stage where he has stretched himself quite a bit thin. The ravages of Parkinson's have gotten to him to a point, and you know it's kind of a shame. And obviously, it's limited his ability. You know what really Freddie needs to do is take a step back and maybe handle two fighters out of. I'm sure he has a handful in his stable that he deals with very, very much hands-on. And you know, I want to be trained. I'm a fighter, and I want to be trained by Freddie Roach. I want to be trained by Freddie Roach, but if I'm not of the caliber of a Pacquiao, and I'm not of the caliber of Amir Khan or a Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., I don't deserve Freddie's utmost attention. And much to Freddie's credit, I mean, you go into the wild card gym, and I've been there a handful of times, Freddie will give everybody from the janitor to Pacquiao his undivided attention, you know, and I think consequently, I think that's had its drawbacks on him, you know, and I think we're seeing that.
Yeah, no, I can't argue with that. But
real quick here, if I can give a plug, I mentioned a young lady that was fighting, I think, around a week ago this time, Clarresa Shields, the lone gold medalist. An incredible story. I got the opportunity to spend some time with her in Flint, Michigan before she left.
Is she going to turn pro, or is she going to stay amateur? You're the perfect person to ask.
That is a good question. I don't think right now Clarresa even knows. We spoke briefly when she got back. She's basically just, you know, taking it all in between getting the keys to the city of Flint. I don't know too many people that would want maybe the keys to Flint, but she got the keys to Flint. She's still
it's key. It's just the key. There's no keys.
Ways. They wanted to treat her to some kind of special dinner. She said, "Nah, you know, give me a Big Mac. Give me a Big Mac meal with large fries and, you know, supersize it." You know, she's still a happy young lady in very many ways, considering all the horrendous things that have happened to her. Sexually abused at a very young age. Father was in prison. Mother was a mere shadow in her life. And she's overcome all of those obstacles to do something that, quite frankly, a lot of people didn't think she was capable of doing. Even people very close to her, they thought she'd go in and medal. But, I mean, hell, she beat a 33-year-old Russian woman, Bill, that could probably beat maybe half the heavyweight division. Obviously, I'm exaggerating, but you should get the impression. You know, you could stick me and you in the room with Olga there, and I got a feeling that Russian woman would beat the hell out of both of us. And Clarresa did very, very well with that. She dominated pretty much everyone.
She toyed with her even, right?
Yeah. In that fourth round, she got a little bit. Now, I'm watching in the privacy of my home on a computer. Which, by the way, a real quick jab here, and I like what NBC's done with its boxing, and I like the fact that they've plunged some money into it. They're trying a certain formula that let's see through time, let's see how it works. But they do like what's going on. But they botched this thing up. I mean, I watched the closing ceremonies to the Olympics. They deserve an A minus for their Olympic coverage. And I give them the minus because they absolutely, positively botched the boxing. They have an amazing story in Clarresa Shields, and they hardly showed it at all. You had to go through one of the other lower platforms of NBC to even find it.
I know.
And then when they have the NBC wrap-up, Bill, and I'm watching the closing ceremonies, I'm bragging about Clarresa. I'm banging the Clarresa drum here in the Philly area. I did a number of national radio programs talking about her. I did some stuff with NBC, some of the radio affiliates with NBC talking about her. Yet, when they did the closing ceremonies and they're going on and raving, as deservedly so, they raving about all the success the American women had. No mention of her.
No, I know.
Nothing about her.
It's crazy.
Nothing about her whatsoever. And it says something about boxing. And again, it's a slap in the face of a young lady who told me, as tears were streaming down her face, a month before she left for London, I wanted a voice. I wanted to be heard, and I have always felt I was ignored. And then on top of that, after she gets on top of the world, literally and figuratively, what do? They ignore her.
Right.
It amazes me.
It's a shame.
It's incredible.
I got to run, Joe. We're wrapping it up here. I appreciate that, and let's pick up on Clarresa next time, all right?
Okay, super, Bill.
All right, take care. That's Joe Santoliquito.
Wake up. It's time for the It's Too Early for a Trivia Question.
Today's It's Too Early for a Trivia Question is being brought to us by Gleason's Gym. Check them out, 718-797-2872. Tomorrow we're going to announce all the winners from the Gleason Gym thing. Our trivia question yesterday was, who was Noah Brusso? Who was Noah Brusso? Well, my man, Coach K, he knew that Noah Brusso was indeed Tommy Burns, the little giant of Hanover. He was born on June 17th, 1881 in Canada, and he died May 10th, 1955. He was a former world heavyweight champion. He was also a Boxing Hall of Famer. 46 wins, 5 losses, only stopped one time, 34 wins by knockout. He had a 497 rounds as a pro with a 57% KO ratio. Congratulations, Coach. He's going to be getting the Holyfield book. It's called The Holyfield Way, courtesy of PrizeFightingBooks.com. Now, today's trivia question on the line is a great book. My good friend, the late, great Billy Costello, his book was called The Black Lights, written by Thomas Hauser. This is a must-read, courtesy of PrizeFightingBooks.com. If you can answer this question, email me, Billy at TalkinBoxing, TalkinBoxing.com. By 1932, boxing, in one form or another, was legal in all 48 states except for one. Which state was it? If you know that answer, email me, Billy at TalkinBoxing, TalkinBoxing.com.
This day in boxing history.
And finally, this day in boxing history is being brought to us by Campanaro Tomkovich. If you're looking for a lawyer, use the ones that keep my ass out of trouble. That's Campanaro Tomkovich. Give them a call today, 845-221-4099. On this day, August 15th, in 2003, Jesus Chavez wins a 12-round decision over Surimanko Singh-Mansik to win the WBC World Junior Lightweight title, and that took place on this day, August 15th, in 2003, in Texas. That concludes our show for today. I got one more thing to say. Make sure you tune in tomorrow morning, same bat time, same bat channel. There's only one channel, the Fight Now channel. Call your local television provider right now. Tell them you want the Fight Now channel, AT&T Support Channel line. It's that simple. Pick up the phone and call them. For all the information about the channel, you can visit their website, www.fightnow.com. See you all tomorrow. Ciao, baby.